He was supposed to be the future of English football. He possessed technical abilities and vision that were rare in a British player, more often found in Spain or South America. And yet he would win his final international cap at the age of just 24. He would be released on a free by Arsenal at 26, and he would retire at just 30. So, what happened to Jack Wilshere? Wilshere was actually a boyhood West Ham fan who idolised Paolo Di Canio, but he joined Arsenal's academy in 2001, just in time to see the invincible era led by Patrick Vieira and Thierry Henry, and then to watch as the club transitioned away from Highbury and to the new Emirates Stadium. It was the perfect time to be a young player at Arsenal. The building of the new stadium limited the club's transfer activity, meaning the chance of breaking through into the first team was never higher. And Wilshere was 16 on his debut as a substitute against Blackburn. Like so many young Arsenal prospects before him though, his big initial impact came in the League Cup, when, making his first start, he scored from the edge of the box to cap a fine performance against Sheffield United. He hadn't even signed his first professional contract, but his senior career was underway. In 2009-10, he would spend an instructive period on loan at Bolton, lower down the Premier League, but the following season he would return, become a regular in Arsene Wenger's first team, and, in the Champions League, give the performance that characterised his abilities. 2011, and the Champions League round of 16 draw pitted Arsenal against Pep Guardiola's Barcelona. Wenger's side would emerge 2-1 winners in that game, but Wilshere's contribution was, and remains, what everyone remembers. Against a midfield three of Xavi, Andres Iniesta and Sergio Busquets, he provided all of Arsenal's thrust, skipping through tackles and driving his side up the field. And it certainly left an impression on Xavi, who many years later said, "It wasn't a performance that you easily forget." Guardiola was complimentary too, but in more of a backhanded way, saying that Barcelona had many players in the second team like him, and that Wilshere had no pressure at his club to win titles. His comments were treated as a slight by the British media, perhaps not unreasonably. In 2011, long before the Football Association's technical revolution changed the profile of English players, it was still unusual to find British-born midfielders who could even be compared in style and size to players like Xavi and Iniesta. In the Premier League, it was still the era of Steven Gerrard and Frank Lampard, to whom the 5'8" Wilshere offered a contrast. But while typical English midfielders of the past had been blessed with durability, Wilshere would prove fragile. And the first sign of that would come at the end of his breakthrough season, at the Emirates Cup in the summer of 2011. Wilshere suffered a sprained ankle that would eventually need surgery, and at 19, it was actually the beginning of the end. He experienced setback after setback. In the 11-12 season, that surgery was followed in the new year by a knee operation, and by the time he recovered, he hadn't featured in the Premier League for almost 18 months. And so began a cycle of terrible luck. Between 2011 and 2018, he would never again feature in more than 30 Premier League games in a season. And yet still his talent was able to periodically shine through. In 2014 and 2015, he won the BBC's Goal of the Season, first with a smart finish at the end of an impossibly intricate move against Norwich, and then with a fearsome half-volley against West Brom. He was also consistently one of England's best players during their run towards the 2016 European Championship in France, and would score his only 2 goals for his country in a game against Slovenia, the second of which remains one of the finest goals scored during Roy Hodgson's tenure as coach. His class survived. And so too did his sense of mischief. After Arsenal won the 2015 FA Cup, Wilshere, in a bucket hat and sunglasses, led the gathered Arsenal fans in a song, mocking near rivals Tottenham. His career had highlights, no doubt, but they were never as sustained as they might have been. He would be loaned out to Bournemouth in search of fitness in 2016-17, but by the time he was released by Arsenal a year later, he was a diminished player whose dynamism and speed had been ground down. He would spend 2 years at West Ham, a further 12 months at Bournemouth, and then, as a final act, half a season in Denmark. All told though, after 14 years and despite beginning at just 16, by the time he retired in 2022, he'd played fewer than 300 senior club games. Wilshere often showed what a good player he was, that his career felt unrealised was simply a measure of what it might have been. and perhaps his talent and his bad luck were intertwined. One theory was that his playing style exposed him to injuries. Coaches described him as fearless and as never being afraid to carry the ball forwards or snap into tackles and win it back. The irony being, of course, that the approach which defined Wilshere as a player ultimately harmed him and stopped him from having the career which looked certain to be his as a teenager. If you like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. The Athletic brings you the best sports journalism in the world in a personalised experience, connecting you with the stories and teams that you care about the most. There's coverage of 13 sports, plus direct access to world-class journalists through live Q&As, discussions and podcasts. And you can try it now for free for 30 days by clicking the link in the description.